So continuing on with trust administration, the ledger, the documents, if you want to remove a trustee, if you want to change a successor trustee, or however your trust is set up, if you want to name a new trust protector, if your trust calls for a trust protector or a family guardian or anything like that, if you want to change any of the roles, then you can, of course, do that. You would just create an amendment to add or remove trustee, add or remove successor trustee or beneficiary. Depending on what you've got going on, they may need to sign it as well in front of a notary so that it is legitimate. Now, removing a trustee, you're absolutely going to have that trustee sign the removal. They have to be in agreement. You cannot just like individually on your own decide to remove a trustee. So you can create a removal of trustee or successor trustee. Now, successor trustee does not need your approval because they're not an acting trustee. They're just in kind of a holding pattern. So you do not need their approval to remove them and swap them out with somebody else. Who you put, how you condition, okay, how you condition, look back a couple of videos, how you condition their name is very important. Do you have a US person stepping in as your successor trustee? Or do you have a living man or woman stepping in as successor trustee? So that is something to consider. How you designate, how you condition their name. Okay? Conditioning is very important. If you haven't listened to those videos, please go find those videos. Conditioning documents is something we have, I believe, intentionally not been taught ever. Very, very seldomly are we taught, to condition a document. Really, it's if you're signing as, say, CEO or, something like that, then yeah, you sign comma, title, CEO, whatever. But in our life, as a living man and woman, we are not taught to condition our signature because they want us to be surety for the all caps name. When if you ever pull over for a road pirate with their lights on who's creating a felony, and they pull you over, and do you know why I pulled you over? Because you're a thief. Like, but why else? Like, what else is your reason, right? And they want to, they are demanding your driver's license and whatever, the driver's license, and are you Mary Jane Doe, whatever, and you say yes, you're saying I am that all caps name. And that's where we get to step in and say, no, I'm not that, I'm not that US person. That's a whole nother discussion I don't want to get into here. But again, they don't teach us to condition our signatures because they want us to say, yes, I'm that all caps name. Yes, I will be surety for anything, any fines and fees and penalties that you impose on that US person. I'll take responsibility for that. I'll pay the bill. So when we learn to condition, we learn to separate ourselves from that. So we do not automatically fall into being responsible, right? Surety. So going back to documents, if you are creating a document and you are removing a trustee or successor trustee or adding anything like that, you want to make sure that you condition the documents properly. You also want to make sure that you ledger it, put it in your ledger, create an Excel spreadsheet. Everyone can create a ledger right now. I would most likely guarantee that your trust you have did not come with a ledger. Most of you were probably never taught about ledgers. Think of a checkbook register. That's a ledger, right? I wrote this check number on this date, this amount to who. It's exactly what it is. It is a summary of your business. Checkbook register is a summary of your checking account. No different. So think of it that way. Get an Excel spreadsheet open. Figure out a ledger system that works for you that you can add to the bottom of every document. Now, your documents don't have any ledgers. Okay, make them up. Everything, you guys, the power is in your hands. Create it. Don't be afraid to create it. If you want to, write it on the bottom of every single page. Doesn't matter. These are your documents. Write it on the bottom of every single page. Page 1 and then 1-10, or however you want it. Page 1 of 10. County recorders just do 1-10, 2-10, 3-10. So you could do something like that. But go in and start administering your business correctly. So create a ledger system that works for you. You can use my suggestion that I gave earlier. And then put those numbers that you created, put those ledger numbers into your spreadsheet and put them in by date, so that if anyone comes in and picks up your trust ledger, trust resin ledger binder, combining words here, binder and folder. If they pick up your trust binder, they can say, oh wait, all these documents should be in here. It protects us from several things, but people often show us their true colors when there's a death. And I have to say this because I'm sure many of us have had experiences like this, that when we have a death, money changes people. Money makes people really greedy, and it shows people's true colors. So if, say I was that greedy family member and I went and found Uncle Joe's trust, and there was a document in there and he didn't ledger it properly, but there was, I don't know, something in there. I could just take those documents out. If he had designated, say, that he didn't want me in the trust or in his, something we should talk about, wills. If he didn't want to leave anything for me because I was selfish and greedy, and he knew who I really was, and I went in there and I found this document that said he wanted all this stuff divided up this way and I wasn't in there. If he didn't have it ledgered properly, I could just remove it and no one would know that I removed it. That's what I mean. Cover your ass. Cover your ass with the ledger. That way, any of the other kids could come in and say, well, wait a second, we're missing this document. Where did it go? So ledgering is very important. It also shows any not administrative is the far of like trust, but any agency that you may have controversy with. It might just be the IRS, right? But it could be family. It could be a spouse. It could be an ex, right? That's trying to say that you're sheltering assets, whatever. If you can prove that you are administering that trust properly, you will come out on top most every time. If you have shit put into a trust or titled, but you've never done anything with it, and you don't have your annual meeting minutes, the judge is going to say, well, you're not administering this business. You're not a proper fiduciary. So learning to be a proper fiduciary will save your ass.